Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Decentralized Chain. It's Faraz bringing you all things blockchain. So, in today's episode, and it's going to be a slightly different one because it's one that I haven't really done before. And when I say I haven't done before, I mean that it's more of a podcast than it is of actual video. So, we are going to be talking to the CEO, who goes by the name of Geralt, for CyberFi. And we're going to find out a bit more about their project. And it was a great conversation, actually. It was, once again, it's looking at all the blockers that we currently have for DeFi today. How do you get the mainstream user involved? But more specifically, kind of when we focus on the decentralized exchange space, it's more than just being able to do automation. It's more than just being able to do trading. It's also looking at, how do you implement DeFi strategies as well that you can also execute on the platform. And this is where CyberFi comes in. It's really looking to try and to address all of these pain points and ultimately make what I personally think today is pretty much a set of complicated steps for someone who doesn't know crypto. Right? I think what's really missing in this space, and I've said it all along, is UX and UI, and these are things that I think we need to drive first, a customer-driven approach to crypto usage and adoption. Now, as the CEO is anonymous, what I can say is I have seen him. I do know who he is, but he chose not to show himself for various regulatory reasons as it stands. But nonetheless, I was happy to go ahead and we turned this episode into a podcast. So make sure to stay tuned while we have a great conversation, myself and Geralt, and just kind of talk about what CyberFi are doing and how that really impacts DeFi today. And certainly, if this is the type of content that you like, then don't forget to hit the like button. Definitely subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. Now, also, as always, we are doing a giveaway, so there is $100 up for grabs. So make sure you stay tuned throughout the video to understand exactly how you can grab yourself some of that free giveaway cash. And let's jump in and speak to Geralt. Geralt, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here, albeit in a anonymous fashion. So it's the first time for me to do this, but I certainly know you're a real person on the other side. But tell us a bit about yourself, man. How are you? How you been? Where are you based?
Hey, yeah, nice to be on the podcast. Now your first one. So, yeah, thank you for having me in this fashion. So, I'm based in Moscow right now. A lot of great developers here, so kind of a good strategic base to keep all the action here. At least for now, as COVID is up. So yeah, that's where I am in terms of me myself. I've been in crypto for like 4 years now. I've done many different things. In terms of the technical stuff, I've been deeply involved in development for the last 2 years, and had my own company around development. Had a consulting agency in crypto, spent a lot of time talking with, working, helping projects achieve what they want to achieve in crypto. And in the last year, I would say I was also involved in a couple corporate projects surrounding blockchain. That's kind of the reason why I am anonymous, is that I have corporate obligations that I have to kind of finish up with to become public for CyberFi. So not going to go too much into details, but with the technical stuff, from the get-go, from like 2018, I built a team, and since then we're pretty active, I would say, on creating different solutions around oracles, cross-chain, a bunch of POCs, a lot of zero knowledge stuff. So kind of had my experience with many different things that were like rocket science at that point in time in 2018. And right now I'm kind of it was very, very interesting looking at how DeFi started to go, super hyped up in the middle of the year, as a lot of the things that people were building, like we built as POCs or as kind of MVPs back in the day. It was just like, it wasn't so many people interested back then, or at least that's what I say to myself, to not be so to not be so sad about missing the time, basically. So yeah, that's I would say that's like a short intro.
It's a very
Yeah.
broad, a broad set of experiences, I suppose, across all of crypto by the sounds of it. So, let's talk a bit about CyberFi. It's more than just a trading platform, right? As in, when some people look at it, oh, they think it's all right, automated trading. Here we go. Here's another one that's kind of come into the scene. But it's more than that. I mean, what's your value prop in this?
I really like to call it an automation platform first
Mm-hmm.
and foremost. I think there's enough competition in trading as is, with all their platforms, etc., with all the dexes, uh, and all that kind of jazz. And for me, I personally see this as the first kind of real automation platform that would allow users to now automate the complex events that they're doing in DeFi with CyberFi, basically. So, just if we think about, how manual DeFi is right now,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy. It's pretty
Let's. I mean. I
crazy.
mean. Let's
And
take
when I look,
Uniswap as
yeah,
an example, right? I mean, a lot of people are very familiar with it. I'm familiar with it, and I think when you talk about manual,
yeah,
we're specifically talking about. Let's just say there's a coin that I'm watching that's going up in price, and I want to sell out at some point. But let's be honest, and unless some do have trading bots out there, right? But that's all pretty much an alpha. People who have those, they tend to keep that to themselves because that's their edge in the market.
yeah.
Your everyday consumer doesn't have access to that, but what they are then, I suppose, forced to do at some point is sit there and watch the screen until they want to sell out, right? So that's what we mean by the manual part, right?
Yeah, 100, like 100%. And this is just, we're talking about like the surface level, right,
Yeah.
with Uniswap. We're not talking about liquidity pools, right? And this is like just the base level. And already there, we see that one of the biggest problems is information asymmetry. Because I have economic background, and like for like economists, right? What the goal is to find inefficiencies in the market, or per se create markets that are infinitely efficient. And with this, what what happens is that there's a set of users that basically don't have an access to a certain tool set, right? And there's the ones that do. And let's talk about like the easiest problem you have with Uniswap.
Yeah.
And it is that you sleep sometimes, like a third of the day you sleep. So that kind of that puts you out of the market for 8 hours. So you don't, you can't do anything basically in that time period. And people that have like limit orders, they can. Although even like another problem is that because these markets are so volatile, right? You would be better off with like looking at not just limit orders, but be able to kind of change them from time to time in a
Hmm.
very kind of fast manner. So yeah, like all these problems, and this is, we're just touching the surface. I initially came to the realization of how bad things are when I just kind of was trying out like a new like liquidity mining platform,
Yeah.
whatever. Those you get rugged every second time,
Yeah.
basically.
We've got our
But it
plenty
was
share
it
of
was
those.
interesting. Yeah. So and then I had an experience of like I was like just looking how the price was going up, and then it started to go down, and I felt the stress of having to rush to the platform, unstake the coins, set up like a lot of gas get out of there, then click reload on Uniswap to then like remove liquidity to sell the
Yeah.
token. And that was really like stress inducing. It wasn't really fun at all. And I was like, oh man, like I can definitely do this like automated. Like this is just crazy that we all have to go through this manual process. It just doesn't make sense. And then I was like looking at DeFi pools, and I was seeing like, okay, we're going from like 6 billion to now it's like $14 billion. And like, are we in the stone age to like manage $14 billion in like a manual fashion? So it's pretty weird to me, right? um if we just think about like the number, right, like $14 billion, and it's all managed through like MetaMask, basically. Probably there's people all right with like bots and all stuff and all that stuff, but really like we have like this huge amount of money, and it's managed through just clicking on a Google extension. uh, so on one hand, it's pretty amazing, but on the other, there's definitely a lot of opportunity to
It feels
change
very
something.
archaic on the other hand, to be honest, when you kind of
Mm-hmm.
compare it to what you're already doing today. I mean, I I think one of the areas here is, like as in those who are kind of used to more of the traditional assets, they're using Coinbase, they're using Binance, and they kind of have those at their fingertip. But then at the same time, you have that whole argument: central versus decentralized, custodial versus non-custodial. Um,
Mm-hmm.
all of that features into it. But one of the quickest places that tend to get launched straight away is on Uniswap. You find a lot of projects doing it on Uniswap straight away. So, being able to have that type of feature set available on top of Uniswap it's a must for sure in this space. I'm curious, how do you sort of account for, because there's no raw order book on Uniswap. So I'm curious how CyberFi kind of works in that space then.
Yeah, I mean, it ends up being a market order, but
Mm.
based on a price trigger, basically. So when the price, in a certain market of Uniswap, comes to a certain place, then you just set off a market order. There are ways to make this more complex, and we're working on that. But we like, overall, I don't even want to focus them. Like, I'm going to be frank, like I don't want to be us to focus on the limit orders as
Mm.
like this huge thing, because I would say I had a lot of discussions with like people that are very knowledgeable in the space, and I would tell you like the limit orders, they're coming to Uniswap. They're going to be on Uniswap. It's going to be like natively supported.
Yeah. Okay.
um, and it just makes sense. Like even if I didn't have the information to kind of back it up a little bit, but anyway, it just makes sense that they would have that
Mm.
there. So it doesn't really make much sense to just focus really on that, because it's gonna come like it's a pretty obvious kind of move from Uniswap. But what I really want to focus on is the complexity, of different things that can be done in DeFi, um, uh, through people having the ability to kind of program that in like a visual interface,
Mm-hmm.
of where they can set up their kind of if then logic. So it all comes down to, like, if we talk about the what I just told you about the liquidity mining events, right?
Yeah.
It all comes down to the like if then logic. So you're basically setting up an if of when the price of this like native token of this liquidity mining project goes up, and it's at this point, I want to go through this whole process automated and get out fully and just have my Ethereum in my wallet. And the same if it goes down. And like, funny thing, we recently, like yesterday, we published a development update for CyberFi, and there I put in kind of an example where I showed like I showed our platform and show how you can set up a limit order on like Pickle Finance to get out of their liquidity mining if the price falls. And funny enough, not even like 24 hours later, they got hacked, and the price went down like, I don't know, like 60%. So
Wow. Yeah.
people that would have had that would have saved themselves pretty much from the dump, because like you can only get so far, obviously, but you just don't want to be the person in the back of the line getting on Uniswap and already seeing that your LP token has lost 60% in price, and the native tokens of the project are also like worthless basically. So yeah, kind of getting back to the complex events thing. So there's a lot of things in DeFi, right, that could be that can be streamlined, right? And if we just imagine like a user flow from X point to Y point, that can be automated, and we like this can be applicable to like lending. This can be applicable to all these like liquidity mining, farming events, etc. And then it could also be applicable like in trading. What I am excited about is, for example, that we can set up correlations, and people would not only be able to set up like a limit order on the token, but they would be able to set a price trigger on a different, like on a token X, that would then lead to them automatically buying like token Y, for example.
Okay.
So things like that. um so yeah, it's really like I can go on and kind of going through like these different aspects of what can be automated, but just basically, if you imagine how many times you have to like click through MetaMask, if you're actively using DeFi, that's what we're kind of trying to solve. So going from the manual nature to a gray like UX UI, and just helping them, I would say, like helping the market a little bit, solving the problems of this information asymmetry, barrier to entry as well for a lot of things, because like it's hard for people to kind of understand this whole like technical.
It
um,
is
yeah.
actually, because I can certainly talk to my friends and family who are not technically minded, and if you give them like a, I don't know, like a Hargreaves Lansdown account where they can go and manage their stocks and assets, it's quite straightforward. But interesting enough, when you try to introduce somebody to crypto, and then you say, oh, you need to go and download a MetaMask wallet, then you got to go to Uniswap, got to go and log in. Okay, you got to go and double check the contract address, make sure it's correct before you buy this particular token that's coming out tomorrow or whatever it may be. It's not the most straightforward actually. It really it isn't from a user experience perspective. If you know, you know, and if you don't,
Yeah.
I think it's quite daunting. And UI, UX, this has been missing. Since the inception of crypto. In all honesty, like the whole entire user interface, the whole entire user experience from a customer experience perspective. And my viewers will know. So I mean, a lot of the work that I do, because this is more of a hobby for me. But outside of here, I'm a product builder, but my specific focus is on customer experience and user experience.
Oh,
So
nice,
so I'm
nice.
very passionate about making sure that the user experience is just right. Minimal clicks to get to what you need to do. When you log on, it's intuitive. You understand, and because I think through a simple user experience, through education, I think this is what will drive adoption in crypto as a whole in general. And it's something that's really missing. So whenever I talk to any founders, any projects where they do have an emphasis on we're also looking at the UI and UX behind this, it makes me happy inside, because it's something that we fundamentally need to work on, because I think a lot of crypto needs to be customer first. It needs to be customer driven first, rather than yes, there's technology always in this space, but rather than it being always tech focused first, it really needs to be customer driven, so we actually understand the user journey, the user experience, and how we can ultimately simplify that buying experience. Otherwise, in all honesty, no one's going to be interested in crypto other than those who are kind of looking to make quick gains, or those who have kind of been around since 2016 or 2013, whatever have you. And yeah, so it's reassuring to hear, especially when you use those four letters, that the focus is also there as well.
Yeah, like 100%. Like I think like just recently had a few kind of conversations about where I was like thinking that from, as a CEO, like my job is to figure out, what would be the best kind of UI for our platform. And because we're kind of creating a very complex platform, I would say, just because like we're giving the option to the user to have like a miracle tree basically of different things they can do. So it goes kind of outside of your regular just one action events.
Yeah.
It's very important to have great UI. And just recently, like 2 days ago, I hired like a US based UI expert, which was a great addition to the team. I'm pretty happy to start working on that closely. So now we have like basically 4 people trying to figure out the UI. Me, one of the designers, this UI expert, and product manager. So pretty much, hopefully that gets us to a good place in a few weeks.
Well, it sounds like you got the ideal
With
agile
time.
team to do it. So it'll be good to see. It'll be good to see those developments coming through. Let's let's talk a bit more about your team. Actually, I mean, seeing as you touched on sort of expansion a bit there. So obviously we know how you've got into crypto. How about the rest of the team as well that are sort of involved? What are they sort of? I would say what are some of their notables in this space?
Yeah. So there are notables in the space. Good question. I think that we have a great CMO that is public. That is actually public. I guess I should have invited him. Maybe next time I'll do that for him to do all the talking. It's just things right now are pretty chaotic with how many things are happening, and me just sitting working like for 14 hours a day. So fun times. And so our CMO has been in the space from like 2016 at least, and has been very involved in the OTC market as well. And he had his own company basically doing the OTC stuff. And we actually met in London around 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
When I was attending a hackathon there. So pretty much like great guy, has a lot of experience with crypto. And when I kind of talked to him in August, and I was telling him, hey, join me with CyberFi. It's a great product, and he has been involved in DeFi as well. He was writing articles for like City AM,
Okay.
and working with a few projects on helping them kind of get around the whole DeFi thing. And he was currently working as I think like a fintech expert in like an Lithuanian government organization to kind of introduce innovation and working with startups, kind of getting a lot of people involved. So yeah, he's also in the process of leaving the job, and kind of being full time on CyberFi, which I'm pretty happy about. On the technical side, we have a lot of great guys. The CTO has been also involved. Like I've been involved working with him in the last 2 years on layer 2 solutions, cross-chain applications, and stuff like that. We don't have his LinkedIn on the website, but the guy, he's just like a hardcore developer. Doesn't have a LinkedIn, and I was like, when I get a LinkedIn, he was like, nah, like I don't really need it. It's like, okay, fine, you do you. And right now we have another 4 developers working on the product. I'm also getting probably going to get another second team up and running as well, because just in terms of development, there's a few things that would be nice to have in parallel from the main project.
Yeah.
So there's like things like staking, a few other smaller projects that I'm kind of working in as in secret, I guess, that I want to be like a surprise for the community. But they can be like made parallel to the platform itself. So I'm trying to manage that in the most appropriate way. So yeah, that's where we are. And I think the in terms of like recent additions, the biggest value for the company was that when we started doing the like I'm not going to go through the token sale itself.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. But what we did get out of that was that we now have a network of very, very smart people that are our advisors. And there's Jeff Kerdakis, there's Austin from XIO Network, and there are just a few from there's almost like I would say like 12, 15 people that I talk to every other day, and that help us in terms of what to do next, in terms of relationships, partnerships, and so on and so forth. So that's really bringing a lot of value, I think, to CyberFi. And we just started, right? So it's been what now
Just a little over a week, right? Or
been 9 days
yeah.
since we launched on Uniswap, and I think it's been going pretty fine. To me, we did like 5x from the token sale, but like overall with the team, I think we're pretty strong right now. And it's just up to me to get everything in a place where people are excited, and more excited about the product, and we get a lot of users and so on and so forth. Yeah.
So and actually, sort of talking about the future. I'm always curious in terms of how do you plan to sustain your growth? Because there's still a lot to do. There's still a lot to bring.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage that? I mean, you've had the launch, and you're right, it has been successful in terms of just looking at the charts, and we won't really talk about pricing too much because that's it's secondary here really.
Yeah.
But as part of that token raise, obviously it is there as a funding element for CyberFi. Nothing happens for free overnight, and to grow it does cost. It does cost at the end of the day. So I'm curious in terms of how you sustain your ongoing development. How does that become like I suppose where's your revenue generation model here exactly? Because it's not just you're launching something and there you go, you've handed it to the public and off they go, and and then you sort of disappear into the ether. I'm sure it's more than that. And so how does that play? What do you sort of envision in terms of revenue model generation and sustaining the ongoing development? Because eventually funding does run out, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty complex question. Like, first of all, obviously, it's always better for the projects that raise a few million, right? It kind of like it becomes a no-brainer, how to sustain them for a few years at least. With us, we raised 400K, right? And then we put 150K into the liquidity pool.
Okay.
Which kind of left us with like 250K.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say like positively speaking, that gives us around like 9 months of runtime.
Okay.
If we don't account like to anything else.
Yes.
But then what we have is that we added the liquidity there because now we have a pretty healthy market because of that. I would say there's not a lot of projects with the market cap of like under 2 million, and then our liquidity pool is now around $700,000 or $800,000. So it's even rare like for projects on centralized exchanges to have that amount of an order book, let's say, of that kind of thickness. So definitely that's a big benefit, and I would say like for the long term, hopefully that would kind of also bring confidence to people. On the side of like us earning money, the way it's going to happen most probably is that you're also like as a project, you're also in the middle of making a decision around, do you want to set the fees for your user right from the get-go and start earning money, or is that going to
deter users
make your
as
growth
well,
smaller?
right?
Yeah. And in crypto, because we have like literally, like if we're being honest to each other, the audience of DeFi right now, it's like super small. Like it's literally in, it's probably around like less than 200,000 people,
Mm.
or around that number. Obviously, it's growing, but anyway, it's pretty small. And especially if we're talking about like advanced users that know what they're doing and they're not just clicking through MetaMask to try to farm another farm. Um, we get like a very small amount of people. So like let's say right now, probably our whole user base is like maybe 15,000 people. The good thing is that these people are the ones that are holding millions and millions of dollars worth in DeFi, because those are the ones that are most interested in
Yeah.
automation, right? Because they and it's not only about automation. What it kind of came to be is that it basically becomes their only like risk management platform. Is that you know by having the ability to set up these stop losses, to automate their processes and have a strategy, right? In DeFi, you're not just just give it all away to the chaos of what's going on Uniswap. Uh, they can actually manage their risk. So yeah, it's and this is why I am kind of leaning towards not setting any kind of fees in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and actually incentivizing and rewarding people for actually doing something on the platform. So we have like the transaction mining event, which basically kind of gives the people to the ability to, if they use the platform, we account all those transactions, and we kind of airdrop some of our tokens to these people, just for the action of using the platform. Um, and in the end, I think as we grow, hopefully the market cap continues to rise for CyberFi, and we have somewhat of a treasury through our kind of strategic partners allocations
Mm-hmm.
that we haven't like fully sold. I would say we're like 30% down um, from the initial amount, and we plan to keep that for as long as possible. And whenever kind of the price will go to like maybe like to $10-15 hopefully
Mm-hmm.
someday, we would be working then on establishing strategic investors for the project, where they have like a long vesting period,
Yeah.
and we get this initial additional funding that we need for the project, which I think like is the best scenario for us as these guys that started out super small,
Mm.
and uh, that wanna grow. Yeah, hopefully that answers the
Yeah,
question.
no, 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 it does. I mean, and talking about growth, there's community because they're vital for any project's success. So I'm curious, how do you keep your community engaged with you, through this journey?
We try to do like the development updates every other week, or every week. That's the plan to update, what we're working on, and because we're going pretty fast, I would say kind of the whole goal is to uh, do this as as DeFi is so hot right now. We
Yeah.
have to kind of establish ourselves and push out the products as fast as possible, right? For people to actually get the utility from them, then to wait out and then publish something in like 6 months from now, which would also be nice, but it's definitely would be wrong timing, right?
Mm.
So right now we have a few community events planned out for December
Okay.
that I think will be pretty fun. We'll get some people and a lot of people involved, and so far I think we have a pretty strong community. I see a lot of people going back every day, kind of chatting there, um, which obviously makes me happy. Um, it's also always great to to see people involved in what you're doing and kind of appreciate the idea and so on. Um, so yeah, and I like one of the things for in terms of strategy again for like CyberFi,
Mm.
probably for a lot of other projects as well, is marketing, right? Because that's kind of the only way you can grow community
Yeah, yeah, it's key.
nowadays.
Mm.
So we also have to kind of strategize, how much money we try to put into that, and kind of engage with some people. What we try to do right now is create these long-term connections with people, explain to them, that we're not, this project that, comes and goes. We're going to be very persistent and consistent with what we're doing. And if they want to, if usually when people understand what we're doing, right, they like it, which I'm really happy about. And I think that also helps us to build these long-term relationships. Is that they understand that potentially, we can be a product that is used by many people, as long as DeFi continues to grow. So yeah, that's I guess that's the situation with community. Yeah.
Brand advocates, as I like to call the majority of the community out there. That's ultimately what they are, to kind of be your spokesperson for when you're not physically there to speak about your product, ultimately. So gotta say, Garal, thank you so much for your time today. It's refreshing to kind of hear the approaches, the strategy, the UX, the community side, and just the sort of general approach to how CyberFi is planning to grow. Before we wrap up, any key bits of information that you can release here before anyone else can hear it? Where do they need to go? What do we need to do to stay tuned and find out more?
Yeah, definitely take a look at our Medium articles. We put a lot of thought into that and try to separate ourselves through how those are managed. And I think there's a lot of great things there at the moment that would give a lot of kind of insight into what we're building and why. And stay tuned for the beta, which is going to come out in around like 10-14 days from now. And we're going to have like a beta tester event where we're going to onboard, I would say, probably around 100-200 people, incentivize that a little bit, and give a larger community kind of to see what we're working on. And there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff there: LP management, limit orders, token management, and around like 5 I would say liquidity mining projects that you can automate fully. So pretty interesting stuff coming soon with CyberFi. So yeah, do go into our Telegram and our Twitter, and stay tuned.
Great. Well, Garal, thanks a lot for coming on the show, and hey, let's catch up in a few months' time and see where you guys are.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, so much, man.
Cheers.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.